Hello everyone. I hope you all must have done your language paper well and now must be preparing for your literature, which is there on 21st. In this video, I am going to revise all 5 poems that are there in your syllabus for ICSE literature, and I will be discussing all important aspects of a poem that you need to know to answer the questions well. At the same time, I have framed all the topics in points so that it will be easier for you to learn those points and you can use those points in your answers. So let's begin. The first poem that you have in your syllabus is Haunted Houses by H.W. Longfellow. The poem Haunted Houses by Henry Wordsworth Longfellow is his full name, explores the enduring presence of memories and spirits within the homes of those who have lived and died there. It conveys the idea that all houses are haunted by the harmless phantoms of past inhabitants, suggesting a deep connection between the living and the deceased. Deceased means dead people. In this poem, the speaker asserts that every house is frequented by the ghost of those who once lived there. These phantoms glide silently through the spaces, performing their daily routines without making a sound. The poem describes encounters with these spirits in various parts of houses, doorways, staircases, and passages, implying that their presence is felt even if they are not seen. The speaker reflects on how these ghosts linger, influencing the living while remaining unnoticed. Ultimately, the poem presents a vision of coexistence between the living and the dead, emphasizing that memories and influences from the past continue to shape our lives. If we talk about the themes, the first theme of the poem is memory and nostalgia. The poem emphasizes how memories of those who have passed linger in their former homes, shaping the experiences of the living. Next is coexistence of life and death. It portrays a world where the living and spirits exist together, highlighting the interconnectedness of human experiences across time. Next is harmlessness of spirits. Unlike traditional depictions of ghosts as malevolent, Longfellow's phantoms are benign, representing comforting memories rather than fearsome presences. And yes, the passage of time. The poem reflects on how time affects human existence and relationships, suggesting that while life moves forward, memories remain. There are many literary devices that have been used in the poem. The first is imagery. Vivid descriptions create a sensory experience, allowing readers to visualize the haunted spaces and feel the presence of phantoms. Metaphor. The term haunted houses serves as a metaphor for lives shaped by memories and past influences. Symbolism. The house symbolizes individual lives filled with experiences, while phantoms represent enduring memories. And personification, the phantoms are described as gliding silently, attributing them with gentle human-like qualities. Now the next poem is The Glove and the Lions by Leigh Hunt. The poem The Glove and the Lions by Leigh Hunt conveys that vanity has no place in true love. Vanity means pride. It critiques superficial display of affection and the dangerous lengths some go to for admiration. The poem is set in an arena where King Francis and his courtiers are watching a lion fight. Among them are Count de Lodge and the lady he loves. To test the Count's love and win glory for herself, the lady throws her glove into the lion pit. De Lodge retrieves the glove but throws it back in her face. King Francis approves this act, stating that vanity, not love, prompted her actions. The poem narrates a story, maintaining suspense throughout. If we talk about the themes, the first is love, bravery, and vanity. The poem explores these themes, cautioning against letting vanity distort genuine love. Superficial versus true love. It contrasts authentic love with superficial displays, revealing the flaws underlying chivalry and romance. consequences of excess. The poem warns against going too far in the pursuits of love or validation. And next is pride and arrogance. The lady's pride and arrogance are condemned as she seeks admiration by testing the count's devotion. The literary devices first is symbolism. The poem is richly symbolic. The lions represent primal instincts, ferocity, and danger. The royal court symbolizes authority, nobility, and social norms. The Count de Lodge represents chivalry and romantic heroism, and the lady's glove symbolizes a challenge and a test of love. Next is alliteration. The poet employs alliteration effectively, adding to the poem's rhythm and impact. For example, valor and love, and a king above, and the royal hearts below. And rammed and roared the lions with horrid laughing jaws. Next is imagery. Vivid imagery reveals the flaws underlying the spectacle of chivalry and romance. Now let's move on to the next poem, that is When Great Trees Fall by Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou's When Great Trees Fall uses the metaphor of a falling tree to represent the death of influential individuals, exploring the profound grief and sense of loss that follows. The poem suggests that the impact of losing a great soul is far reaching, affecting not only those closest to them but also the wider world. The poem begins by describing the natural world's reaction to the fall of a massive tree, noting the trembling earth and the fear instilled in animals. It then transitions to the death of great souls, detailing the emotional and sensory experiences of those left behind, such as difficulty breathing and a painful clarity of vision. The poem reflects on the memories and unfulfilled promises that surface after such a loss, and how the absence of these individuals creates a feeling of isolation and darkness. Ultimately, the poem acknowledges the lasting impact of great individuals and the void their passing leaves behind. Among the themes, the first is grief and loss. The poem highlights the intense sadness and emotional turmoil that accompany the death of significant people. Impact of great individuals. It emphasizes the profound influence that certain individuals have on the world and the lasting void their absence creates. Memory and remembrance. The poem explores how memories of the deceased become sharper and more poignant after their death. Next is resilience. The poem suggests that, like nature recovering from the fall of a tree, those who grieve can eventually recover from their loss and find inspiration in the lives of those they have lost. Now, the literary devices. First is metaphor. The central metaphor of a great tree falling represents the death of influential people. The roots symbolize ancestors and tradition. The trunk represents the present life, and the leaves and fruit stand for achievements and the future. Next is imagery. Angelo employs vivid imagery to illustrate the impact of both the falling tree and the death of great souls, creating a strong emotional connection with the reader. For example, lions seeking shelter and elephants lumbering to safety illustrate the natural reactions to loss. Next is personification. Describing rocks shuddering and small creatures recoiling gives human-like qualities to nature, emphasizing the widespread impact of the loss. Symbolism. Small creatures symbolize those of lower status or the general populace who also feel the effects of the loss. The poem uses a measured, gentle and calm tone to explain the poet's point of view about death. The next is A Considerable Speck by Robert Frost. Robert Frost's Considerable Speck explores the idea of recognizing intelligence and the will to live in even the smallest of creatures. The poem emphasizes the importance of paying attention to minute details and appreciating the significance of life regardless of size. The poem begins with the narrator noticing a tiny speck on a white sheet of paper while writing. Initially, he assumes it's a dust particle blown by his breath. However, upon closer inspection, he realizes it is a living mite moving purposefully across the page. The mite seems to be trying to save itself, running and hesitating as if it aware of the narrator's pen. The narrator observes the mite's desperate attempts to escape and recognizes its intelligence and will to survive. In the end, the narrator decides to let the mite live, acknowledging that even in this microscopic creature possesses a mind. Look at the themes now. Importance of small things. The poem highlights the significance of paying attention to even the smallest details of life. Value of life. A considerable speck emphasizes the worth of every living creature, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem. Intelligence and will to survive. The poem celebrates life. The poem celebrates the presence of intelligence and the instinct for survival even in unexpected places. Last is humanity and compassion. The narrator's decision to spare the mite's life reflects a sense of compassion and respect for all living things. If we talk about the literary devices, first is oxymoron. As the title itself, a considerable speck is an oxymoron, combining two contradictory terms to emphasize the poem's central theme. Imagery. Frost uses vivid descriptions to create a visual image of the mite's movements on the page. Personification. The mite is given human-like qualities such as the ability to think and feel terror, which emphasizes its intelligence. Satire. The poet uses satire when he talks about the collectivistic regimenting love with which the modern world is being swept. This is used to highlight the importance of the individual. The poem uses irregular rhyme to convey sincerity. Now the next is The Power of Music by Sukumar Ray. The Power of Music humorously critiques the concept of music by illustrating how a singer's terrible voice can create chaos rather than joy. The poem highlights the irony of music's power, demonstrating that not all music uplifts. Sometimes it can be disruptive and overwhelming. The poem introduces Bhismalochan Sharma, a singer whose loud and unpleasant voice can be heard from Delhi to Burma. His singing is so intense that it causes panic among listeners, leaving them dazed and pale. Despite the chaos he creates, overturned bullock carts, frightened animals, and even trembling trees, Bhisma continues to sing passionately, oblivious to the distress he causes. The people plead with him to stop, understanding that his intentions are good but unable to bear the noise any longer. The poem concludes with a vivid depiction of the havoc wreaked by his singing, underscoring the disconnect between intention and impact. Among the themes, the first is irony of music. The poem explores the contrast between the expected beauty of music and the chaos caused by Bhisma's singing. Next is obliviousness. It highlights how some individuals may be unaware of their negative impact on others despite their good intentions. Next is power of sound. The poem examines how sound can evoke strong reactions, both positive and negative, demonstrating music's profound influence on emotions and environments. And last is chaos versus harmony. It contrasts the idea of music as a source of harmony with its potential to create disorder. Literary devices used in the poem. First is satire. The poem uses satire to mock societal norms regarding talent and persistence, highlighting Bhisma's stubbornness in pursuing his singing career despite its lack of quality. Hyperbole. Exaggerated descriptions emphasize the extent of chaos caused by Bismarck's singing, such as animals reacting dramatically and people panicking. Imagery. Vivid imagery paints a picture of the chaotic scenes resulting from Bismarck's voice, engaging readers' senses. Personification. Animals and trees are given human like qualities, reacting in ways that emphasize their distress over the noise. And last is irony. The title, The Power of Music, is ironic, as it suggests a positive influence while showcasing music as a source of disruption. So, this way, I have told you all important points which you need to know from these poems. If you learn these points and use them in your answers, I am sure you will be able to answer any question and you will be able to score well as well. So, that's all for now. Please don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you and bye bye.